بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الأستاذ الدكتور مندوب رئيس الجامعة رائد الحفل، الأساتذة الكرام، الزملاء، الطلبة، الضيوف الأكارم، باسم كلية الاثار والسياحة أرحب بكم في فعاليات افتتاح هذا المؤتمر بعنوان عادات الدفن في بلاد الشام من العصور الإسلامية، من العصور الرومانية وحتى العصور الإسلامية. هذا المؤتمر ينظم بالتعاون مع تنظمه كلية الآثار والسياحة بالتعاون مع منظمة الداد الألمانية للتعاون الثقافي وجامعات أخرى ألمانية. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, dear colleagues and students and guests, guten Tag und herzlich willkommen. Please allow me to welcome you to the opening ceremony of this conference on the burial customs in Bilad Sham, or the Levant, from the Roman time up to the Islamic eras. الكلمة الأولى تلقيها الطالبة هلا أبو جرادة باسم طلاب كلية الآثار والسياحة. The first address is by the Hala Abu Jarada in the name of the students of the faculty. Please, Hala.
Your Excellencies, dear professors, dear eminent students, I had been asked to address a welcome to the entry of this conference, representing the young generation studying archaeology and tourism at the University of Jordan. In the present days, research on our customs and traditions is so important, especially for us, young students, since we will be the guardians of this heritage in the future decades. Recently, I had the opportunity to make acquaintance with the university systems of Germany, staying with a grant at 3 months at the University of Bochum. This experience makes me to encourage all participants to involve us students in the dialogue, and I am very grateful for this. I express my thanks for these great opportunities for the exchange of experience and ideas to the Faculty of Archaeology and Tourism, to the German Academic Exchange Service, and thanks.
Thank you. The next address is by Dr. Professor Thomas Maria Weber about the involvement of the DAD in the Academic Exchange Jordan and the conference. الكلمة القادمة للبروفيسور توماس ماريا بيبر.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, dear students. It was originally an idea to make a conference. When Christopher and me met 2 years ago, we were discussing on organizing something. But the idea was not reality, because the most important thing is how to finance. Luckily enough, I met our deputies last year in Tunis, and we were discussing about various issues concerning the political situation in the Middle East, and I brought up this idea, and everybody in the DAD, in the German exchange service, academic exchange service, it's a marvelous idea, you will get some funds. If I say some funds, it is only a small amount. We did not plan to do a large international congress, but more or less a small workshop which was designed for, especially for the scholarly exchange between experts and for the dialogue with the young generation, with students. That this became reality, we owe to the DART headquarters in Bonn, and especially I want to address my thanks to our new created information center here in Amman, its director Andreas Wutz, who greatly helped in organizing and financing this opportunity. With these thanks, I add my thanks to the Faculty of Archaeology and Tourism, especially to the new Dean, Dr. Meisou Naha, and to the Dean who was most efficient to organize this event, to Dr. Nisa Toshan. I wish you 2 pleasant days. The speakers and our guests are invited to join us today for lunch, and in the evening for a small reception party at my house. So I wish you pleasant days and welcome to you all.
Thomas, thanks Thomas. The next address is by Dr. Christoph Egger from the University of
Sorry for this technical problems. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear professors, dear colleagues, dear students. Before I will give you a short introduction into the conference topic, I'm sorry to say that both our Syrian colleagues, Professor Michel Al-Makdisi and Mahmoud Hamoud from Damascus Countryside Archaeology, couldn't come, and I think you all will understand this tragic situation in the neighbor country. But at least I want to give you some impression about the difficulties they have. This is the office of Mahmoud after a bomb explosion near the Al-Marsh place in the center of Damascus. God thanks that Mahmoud survived this, but one of his staff died while this bomb exploded. Mahmoud wrote us a letter that he would like to have to come, and but situation is too difficult for him, and he didn't want to leave his family, of course, and his health situation is not the best, so he apologized for not coming here and participating at our conference. So, of course, this is a gap in our conference that now 2 important papers about the Syrian topic can't be given, and but we hope that nevertheless this conference will be a success, and both colleagues, Michel as well as Mahmoud, promised us at least to deliver a manuscript for the Congress volume, which we want later to publish. Burial customs in Bilad Asham from Roman to Islamic times. This is a wide field of interest, and I hope to listen to, or I'm sure to listen to, some interesting papers, and we are very happy that there was a big interest to participate here, and I'm very happy that as well as German and other foreign researchers, as well as Jordanian and other Arab ones, were interested here to participate and proposed very interesting papers. The dead. dear ladies and gentlemen, the death is a deep rupture, not only in the individual's life, but also for society. To lose a member was always a tragic event in human life, and so all human beings, societies, have their own rituals to care the dead, to bury him, and these rituals are normally organized in different steps. It was a French-German researcher, Arnold van Gennep, who in the beginning of the 20th centuries, as an anthropologist, a cultural anthropologist, detected that a lot of rituals of transition, and the death, of course, is a transition step in the life, from the life on this earth to another life, that all these transitional processes can be divided in 3 steps, and he called these steps rite de passage, rites of passage. And he spoke of first a rite de séparation, that means a separation. The one who died has to be separated from the living community. The mourners did something to sign it, to symbolize that he has gone away, by crying, by mourners' ceremonies. Then there is a rite de marche. That means a transition rite, that he is going, that he's passing to another life, an eternal life. And finally, there is a rite d'agrégation. That means, again, the dead has to be included in a certain kind into the society. This will be just one author who has cared about this problematic situation of death. I want just to memory that there's already early European tradition to analyze the death and rituals. But let us come back to our topic. What does it mean for archaeologists, this rite de passage and the death? Well, as archaeologists, we always have to do with the death, because it's almost not to avoid that we find rests of human beings, skeletons, not only in regular cemeteries, but sometimes also in settlements. So the archaeologist and the death are a kind of symbiosis. We are, in a certain sense, good partners. Well, there are several steps what we can do as archaeologists. A lot of this funerary or funeral processes we can't detect as archaeologists. The first care of dead, the washing, closing the eyes, what's almost common in all societies, we can't detect. But our source is the grave itself, the grave structure, or if it is a more elaborate grave, even the architecture of a tomb, the care of the dead when he is interred, when he is buried in the grave, the anthropological data of the dead that are very important, the funerary items that are placed in the grave, and finally the topography of the grave or the cemetery, the creating of a funeral landscape or a sacred landscape. These all helps us to reconstruct the burial chronology, and this contributes to the settlement history. But there's more, not only chronological aspects, but also, as I mentioned, Arnold van Gennep, an anthropological dimension. So funeral customs or funerary practices tell us something about the society's identity too. And of course, coming to the Near Eastern, we have several interesting changes in history and the development of the society here. in Palestine, Jordan, Syria and Lebanon. And funerary practices are also a sign of a society in transition. And of course we have several processes in the time span we want to cover. And the big words, I can tell you here, you know it very well, better maybe than me, the Romanization, the Christianization, and finally, starting in the early 7th century AD, the Islamization. These are the aspects that play an important role in reconstructing the funerary customs, and it's an issue for the archaeologists to get an idea about the influence of these processes on funerary practices. Well, Bilad Asham, it's not necessary to show you a map, but just to remember this is the Roman and late Roman division of the Near Eastern provinces. And here, this is a country with a very rich heritage of Roman up to Islamic burials and architectural monuments of such tombs. Here just a small selection of such tombs from Petra and Avila to Damascus medieval Muslim tomb monuments, flat cemeteries, the Tyre Cemetery, or Palmyra with its fantastic tower tombs. Of course, for a long time, archaeologists were almost focusing on the sculpture and facades of the tombs, the architecture of the tombs, but this has changed in the last decades, and the title of Lucy Waderson's article on Petra tombs is programmatic. Petra behind the monumental facades. This is the new issue for the archaeologists. Let us look into the tombs, let us look behind the facade, what is happening, what's going on in the tombs themselves. But for the Roman, late Roman, Christian and Muslim period, we are still far away from this state of research that is already existing for the pre- and proto-historic periods. I just show you one new recently published publication about funerary rituals in the Bronze Age Levant, published by Mr. Felsner, and reconstructing funerary rituals in the Roman Near East and the Muslim Near East. This is our issue, this is the topic of the conference, and I hope that we all together will contribute that we achieve a little bit of this reconstruction process. Well, the stock of archaeological sources is very well. Here I just choose a distribution map of tombs in the southern Haran area, and you see there are dozens and hundreds of tombs distributed in all over the countryside and in the cities. This is a good base for us to start our research. However, we have some problems by tomb looting, by grave robbery, and this is a problem in all countries, in all over the world, not just in the Near East or not just in Jordan, but as well as in Middle Europe, in Germany as well as in the States. But here just an impression. This is the statistics of looting sites in Jordan, and right bottom you see a looted cemetery site in Bab el-Dra. Of course, for us archaeologists, this is a very sad story, losing so many informations that could give us a complete and undisturbed tomb. Well, looting tombs, grave robbery, is not a modern problem, but already well known in antiquity and medieval times. And one of the most famous Muslim scientists, Ibn Khaldun, already mentioned the problems of tomb looting in the Arab world, saying trying to make money from buried and other treasure is not a natural way of making a living. So he already condemned this tomb looting, but of course without success. It's a problem going on and will be a big problem also in the future. So archaeologists are fighting against tomb looting and grave robbery, as this will destroy our base, our fundament. However, there's already an early starting of excavating Roman and Byzantine cemeteries, and one of the most important older works is that published by Stuart McAllister, the excavation of the Geza necropolis. Although McAllister focused on the Bronze and Iron Age tombs in Geza, he also excavated those tombs with Roman and later burials, and what's more, he cared about all the objects he found in the tombs, and this is very important because unfortunately to publish all these small objects, what is of course an exhausting work, is not always done in the publications up to now. And of course in the last decades there has been done a lot of work. I can just give you here a very short and very selected impression of publications in Lebanon. We have to remember the famous Tyler publication done by Emile Maurice Shehab. In Jerusalem, it's Bagati who published the big Roman necropolis of Dominus Levet, and of course other Jewish necropolis like Shearim, Beit Shearim were published too. In Jordan, we have to remember the work of the early and mid